These poets are amazing. Someone getting your inside joke, amazing. Getting invited anywhere, amazing. My friends are amazing.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube. I am Joe Atticus Inch, and welcome to this week's episode of Poet Love. I apologize if I'm not in my usual high spirits today. Kinda had a little personal family tragedy last night, and it's really hard. I won't bore you with the details. Anyone who knows me knows what happened. But if I believe anything in this world, it's in balance. And for everything negative that happens, there has to be some positive. And that's what this show is about. It's about the positive. And what better way to express the positive than with talking about one of my local poet family members. It's a local poet showcase, everyone.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And we have reached one of the pinnacles of Columbus poetry. It is a name known across the country. It's had mighty influences here in Ohio and, as I say, across the country. We're talking about Scott Woods. Scott Woods is a poet here in Columbus, Ohio. He's the co-founder of the Writer's Block Poetry Night, which goes down every Wednesday at Cafe Kerouac down on High Street. He has also served as the Poetry Slam Incorporated president for 7 years. He's toured across the country. He's a frequent slammer. And he just recently got a nice, beautiful book that I have right here called We Over Here Now. Nice, beautiful book with a spine and everything. He's also does a monthly poetry column called Poetry is Doomed at GotPoetry.com. And I love Scott. I know there are a lot of people out there who don't like Scott for various reasons, but I personally love Scott. He has such a passion for this art form. And you can tell it the fact that he doesn't stop. As long as he's been doing this, he's still doing it. He's still cranking out new material. And if you need any proof of that, I mean, for the past 7 years, he hosts a feature called the 24-hour poetry reading, where he reads his poetry only. I'm not sure if it's only his poetry, but he reads his poetry for 24 hours straight. And in those 7 years, he's never repeated a poem. Think about that. 24 hours straight of poetry. 7 years, never repeated a poem. So you gotta just imagine the arsenal that he has. And in that, he has something for everybody. If I can just look through the book right here, I mean, he has great humor in his work. He has great stories in his work. I mean, whoopings, how to make a crackhead, how to build a juke joint, everything you need to know about Prince in 13 songs. I Hate Zombies Like You Hate Me, which was also featured in the Right Bloody compilation, Aim for the Head. His work has also appeared. He was in the spoken word revolution Redux with his poem, which name slips me right now, but I know the subject matter of the poem. It's a poem. It's a great poem. I really love this poem, and the fact that it honors both the work of Freddie Mercury and Luther Vandross. And personally, those are the poems that I connect to personally, is because me and Scott, we have the we have the basic same sense of fandom, of we are fans of a lot of same things, and we talk about the stuff we're fans of. And I mean, in this book is why you don't remake The Thing is one of my favorites out of this. Yes, because for the pop cultural sense to it, 24-hour horror movie marathon, but 6 in the morning. I mean, that 6 in the morning just tells you how smooth Scott is. Every day smooth. And if you don't get that, watch 6 in the morning, you'll get it then. But personally, I really do appreciate Scott as a person. 5 years ago, it's still hard to believe that I've been in this, trying to participate in the scene for about 5, maybe even 6 years now. When I started at the Black Pro Poetry, which between that and Writer's Block were the two big poetry venues. And I only stuck with Black Pearl just because of that was my home. And but as I got more serious in the art, I wanted to experience more. So I went down to Writer's Block on Wednesday. And Scott has always been supportive of me. Throughout all these years, he's always been a good friend. I've always just admire his talent, the fact he writes what he writes, he says what he says. You see it, especially if you go to a writer's block when he MCs. He has a love for this art. I can't stress that enough. He does that, and he's so welcoming, despite what many might think. He is welcoming of anyone who wants to truly get serious about this art. And I mean, a personal story is like the reason I have this book is because last time I was at Writer's Block, Scott might not want me to say this. Last time I was at Writer's Block, he was selling the book, and I was low on money. I couldn't afford it. So he just gave me the book, told me to pay him back later, and next time I see him, I'll have the money and I'll pay him back. But that really is important to me. That shows stuff like that shows Scott as a person to me. The fact that, I mean, it's hard out here for poets. I mean, if you have merch, you want to sell it, and you want to, get some sort of revenue from it. But the fact that he can see that I do, hopefully he does see that I do appreciate his work, and I want to support him as a friend. The fact that he just take it, pay me back later. that is why I appreciate Scott. I apologize again. Like I said, I can't really. It's hard to get into my usual high spirits, But please check out Scott's work. He has his website, scottwoodswrites.net. The link on the website address is going to be. You can read his monthly blog, Poetry is Doomed, at gotpoetry.com. Also on the website, you can purchase books such as We Over Here Now. You can purchase his CDs. And I don't feel like this episode will do Scott justice, so he's definitely going to be on the list of poets whose episodes I'm going to redo. But at this point right now, please support Scott. And if you are in the Columbus area and you're free on a Wednesday night, visit Writer's Block Poetry. The thing goes down at 8 o'clock. It's at Cafe Kerouac down on the High Street, down on campus. So $5 cover. If you're bored and you want to learn more about Columbus poetry, it's there. And on that note, I will get the magic shoebox here. Gonna pick another name. Hopefully next week I'll be in a little higher spirits. We're gonna go with this name here. Hopefully I'll be in a little higher spirits to talk about this poet. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, I am Joe Atticus Inch, reminding you to keep your pens moving, live long and prosper, and I appreciate you. I will see you next week.